Welcome back, everybody. Dan here. Thanks so much for joining in. And I know a video is long overdue. It's been quite some time. I've been very busy, but I'm back. I've got some time, and I'm going to start trying to roll out videos again. And today I want to talk about ACC. And more particularly, I want to talk about how basically pretty much all of the sim racing community at this point feels like ACC is a failure. There are some people out there that do enjoy it. I have talked to people who still enjoy it. As a matter of fact, my personal opinion is I do love the title. I enjoy racing it. The background footage that you're seeing right now is me racing in ACC. I think the title is pretty good. It's definitely not perfect. It's far from perfect, but I do have hopes that developers will continue to update it and it'll get better and better and better. And if we look back historically with Kunos, that's basically what they did with AC1. And so I'm hoping the same kind of deal will happen with the new one, ACC. But it's no secret, if you talk to people, if you're in the sim racing community, a lot of people, I'd say 75 to 80% of people pretty much feel like Assetto Corsa launched and then just fell, crashed, and burned. And rightfully so, because there are a lot of issues that have kind of made people turn their head against the title. But like I said, it's really a shame because it is actually an excellent title. But I did want to talk about today 3 major reasons why I personally think that ACC did not get off on a good start, and probably kind of had a lot to do with, if not all to do with, why the community feels the way they do. So the very first thing is pretty common. I've heard a lot of other people talk about this, and it's the way that they amped up their multiplayer rating system. Even the developers themselves, they were saying before the release of the pre-release builds, the 0.1 builds or whatever it was back in the day now, they were even saying that it was going to be a multiplayer system, a safety type system that was going to rival iRacing. I mean, they really amped it up. They really said that it was going to be this amazing thing, and it had a lot of people's hopes very high. And unfortunately, definitely in the early releases, and then even in the official 1.0 release, and then the following releases that we've had since the title has came out, it's definitely nowhere near the way they described it, nowhere near the way they explained it to be. And that's just really unfortunate, because when you really amp something up and you promise something to your clientele or your customer base, and then you get it in your hands and it's completely different from what you said and doesn't really work, it's kind of broken. It's really a shame, and it makes people lose trust in the developer, which really stinks. But I think that's probably the main thing, was just it was supposed to be this really good multiplayer-based racing game. And I will say that it is good in the multiplayer side of things, but you still do have the issues where you're going to run into bad lobbies and stuff like that. And there's no real good way to set up, it's just not what they promised. The multiplayer in general is not what they promised, and the safety rating to keep you in good, consistent, clean races just isn't working exactly like they said. It's actually far-fetched from what they said, and it just makes the general public, the people playing the game, it just gives a bad taste in their mouth because they feel like they were lied to. So that's the main thing there. It's that safety system is just not in place. I do hope that after time passes, they will have that resolved, and it will, kind of fall into place in the way they said it. But it really should have been, the way they said it at release, at least, if not even in those earlier builds. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the way that they rolled out the title. So this is kind of unfortunate. And I'll be honest with you guys, when I did buy into the early builds, because I wanted to get the game, I had high hopes for the game, I wanted to get it at a discount. So if you recall, most of you probably do watching this video, they offered several stages of discounts, and the closer the game got to release, the more expensive it became, and then eventually you had to pay full price. And originally, me and Billy Strange, we kind of disagreed on this. We had talked about this before. I thought that was actually a good thing. And it turns out, I will admit when I'm wrong. I'm a big man. He was right. He actually thought that was a bad way to go about it. And now that I look back on it and I see the effect it had, the way they rolled out the game just wasn't a good idea, because you had people purchasing, even if it was a small amount of money, you had people paying for a product that was dearly not finished. It was incredibly just not even halfway finished. And most people like myself understand that. You look at that and you say, okay, well, I understand what I'm getting into. I'm getting a discount. This is not a finished game. But most people don't think like me. The majority of people are going to think kind of like Billy was thinking. And it was just a bad idea to roll the game out like they did. I think in hindsight, like Billy said, I think what they should have done is they should have just either done a small beta testing group, invited people in for free, and had some kind of thing where they couldn't, this happens with games all the time. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to put videos up about it. All you're allowed, it's like an embargo, I think. All you're allowed to do is just play the title. That's it. Give the developer feedback. And it's kind of a small group and it's free. That way the title is ready, like a beta release. And when it comes out, it's ready to go. They should have done something like that instead of having people pay. I mean, I understand they wanted people's input to develop the title, but I think the way they did it, it just, like, again, it put a bad taste in people's mouth, and a lot of people are not able to come back from that. And even when they finally did release it, the hype was so far gone that there wasn't that excitement of first day release, everybody gets to play, because people had been playing basically a broken game for months and months and months, and they kept delaying it, and just had a very small amount of content. So I think the way they rolled the game out could have been done a lot more or a lot better, and that's unfortunate because it really has put a damper on what could be an excellent, excellent game. And the last thing that, my number 3 thing that I think has really hurt them bad, and they have had this kind of mindset since the very beginning of ACC, is the last thing on their mind was the modding community. So Assetto Corsa, since it came out, has been synonymous with modders, modded cars, modded tracks, people using modded cars. I mean, probably more than 80% of what I use in Assetto Corsa AC1 is modded content. And, like I said, that's just synonymous. Assetto Corsa and mods go together like peanut butter and jelly. And them excluding the modding community in ACC and not even making it easy for them, they specifically stated in one of the earlier builds in their articles that they were just not going to include the modding community. They don't care about it. That wasn't their intention in this game. This was going to be this great multiplayer experience that you had to use their content. The thing is, though, removing or leaving out that modding base of people, that's like 50, at least, probably more like 75% of the people who played AC1 are people in the modding community, people that use mods and love mods. So you're releasing a game from day one, and you're already missing at least half of your user base because you're excluding the modding community. And I have really, really thought from day one, since the very first time I heard that, it was, so I think it was articles before they even released the first build. Back in the pre-release, they said they were not interested in having mods in the game. It was not even on their plate at all. Now, years down the road, eventually people will probably figure out how to mod the game, but at that time, it'll be so far gone, it won't be worth it anymore. So I think that's a huge mistake. That was a huge mistake, excluding the modding community from the beginning. And those 3 things, I think, are the main ingredients of what pretty much makes most of the sim racing community think that ACC was a failure, because I hear that all the time in live streams and stuff like that. The truth is, guys, though, that the sim itself at this point is a great sim. Yes, it's very long content, but if you enjoy the type of content that is in the sim, it's fantastic. And the beta that just came out today, the 0.7 beta, that tire model is fantastic. They fixed the issue with the curbs. They fixed a lot of issues, and the game sounds fantastic. It's a really good title. I mean, if you're already using that type of vehicle in a different sim, then really there's no reason for you to jump on. But anyways, that's what I wanted to make the video about, guys. I just think that those 3 points are really key ingredients that they probably should have done differently, and I think the outcome would have been much different for ACC. Again, I do hope that they turn it around, and in time it becomes a very popular sim. But I don't know, even if they fix everything at this point, if there's going to be enough they can do to turn the sim around and get it going. Let me know in the comments, as always, what you guys think. I'd like to hear what you think about it. Do you like the game? Do you dislike the game? Why? Why not? As always, guys, thanks so much for joining in. That's going to be it for this one, and I will talk to you in the next video. We'll see you later.